Welcome to another episode of Turning Coal into Diamonds. Today we have a good friend of mine, George Ellett, also known to you guys as Good.To.Go. I'll let you
Good to
introduce
go.
yourself.
What's up, people? Yeah, my name's George Ellett, MC name Good to Go, GOOD.TO.GO. Good to go vibes all around.
Yeah,
Gerard, thank you for having me.
for
It's
sure.
gonna be fun.
Yeah. I definitely want to say, because I got to know you through Dylan, who was on one of our episodes as well, Dylan Emmett.
Yeah, check that one out. It was good to hear his voice again.
Yeah. And that's one of the things that I'm really glad to have you on. And I guess I'm kind of just going to jump in, but I love that you have such a good spirit about you, that like you work well with other people and other musicians, other artists. And I wanted to know, like, what's that like for you?
Well, there's like film and music, but musically, as an MC, I don't produce as well. So it
Oh,
forces me to go out and write with the producer essentially.
oh, I love that.
Which I like because I like feeding off of people's energy and just
Yeah.
knowing their backstory or whatever lens they're looking through. And like a big part of what I like try to do lyrically is, obviously tell, your own version of the story, but I always try to
Yeah.
take insights from whatever someone else might be hearing in the song lyrically or what the beat thinks to them, and being able to try to like marry both stories or point of views
Yeah.
has like always been kind of like a fun game that I like play in my head. But also, yeah, it's just more fun to work with people than be by yourself, I
I
guess.
know, I totally feel you on that. I asked that because I think that, I'm not in the music game. I wish I had some of like a little teensy bits of music talent. But I guess I assume that some artists kind of are like, I'm just my own thing. I'm gonna do my own whatever. But I've always loved hearing collaborations. I've loved getting to witness you and Dylan working together, Dylan and other people work. Like I just love being in the session and seeing minds mixing together in that way. And so
Totally.
it's really cool to see kind of why, like what the backstory of why that is a thing for you. So that's really cool to hear that.
Yeah, and also, like it's super fun too because, a way I tend to write is freestyling predominantly. Like I'll
Yeah.
have lyrics, but I usually let the beat tell me what to say, I guess, in a way.
Yeah.
Um, it hasn't been so recently, like being home alone now, having to learn to record that way, which we can talk about. But for a long time, it was someone plays a beat, like first thing that kind of comes, stream of consciousness is kind of what I felt like would guide the song.
Mm.
Because, like you can come with a plan, but I feel the music alone will tell you what to say is kind of
Yeah.
how I've always like felt it or lived it. And then it's great, that being said, when you're working with someone, like a Dylan or another producer, Uncle Brother, new friend, that will, have some collabs coming out with Thelonious Monk, aka Cassini, aka Kim. It's like it's great to have their ear because I'll just be like a mile a minute with like
Yeah.
lyrics and ideas. So to have that trained ear to be like, oh, this is your moment, and like this is what hits best. To like have that Rosetta Stone kind of decipher
Yeah.
like everything. It's like it's kind of
I
like
love that.
that's teamwork at its
Yeah,
best.
no, without a doubt. And one of the things that you said earlier that I've gotten to see is actually like you are a phenomenal freestyler. Like you
Thank you.
are like Dylan as well. He doesn't really say it, but I think like and you like Blonde Q and all this, like seeing you guys all together, I'm just
Yeah.
like, whoa, like especially too, what's funny is like you guys are all the white boys too, but like
Yeah.
you guys get together, you guys can like, I'm like highly impressed anytime I've heard you guys just slowly just go and mix music from nothing, you know what I mean?
Totally.
A little thought and like two or three people going together, you would think sometimes that maybe that might not, too many cooks in the kitchen, you maybe heard, I guess, like that thing. Has that actually ever happened? Have you felt that experience?
I've never felt that because generally, maybe with me, my sessions, it's at least, two people, but I would say at most maybe four. But, that being said, there's maybe someone who has like a live guitar, there's someone with drums,
Yeah,
and then
yeah,
there's like a singer, a vocalist. So
yeah,
they can lay down a beautiful melody. And from that person's melody, it's like, oh, let me hop on. That just made me think of the next line.
yeah,
And from that, like, a lot of like kind of the rhythms and stuff too. Like I love playing with live drummers because I get very like like multi-syllables. So like I'll like
Mm,
rap in rudiments, like a drummer will notice and they'll be like,
yeah.
whoa, you're rapping in like a really crazy rhythm. So like
Yeah.
they'll start playing to that, and then it kind of just, inspires each other, which is super fun.
Yeah.
And like it's actually been kind of cool because like during COVID to keep busy, I got like an electric drum pad, and I've just
Ooh.
been doing like drum lessons, and like in that, and it's funny even drumming along. I'm like, yo, in a minute we hit it, let's go, let's stop, everybody get it now. We about to rock, about to drop beat. Let me go now. I'm off that seat, just like freestyling what I
Yeah.
play. And it's that's been like kind of a whole new thing, connecting like all those dots, I guess, in a way. So
Yeah. Well, that's
yeah.
really awesome to hear too, because one of the things that, well, you've been creating during quarantine, which I'm sure that's kind of been a switch up as well in some ways for you. I
Totally.
definitely want you to kind of talk a little bit about that if you can. But also, one of the reasons why we're also having you on around this time is that you're dropping a few songs on August 14th, right?
Yeah, it's if it goes through, the proper channels in time, it'll either be out the 14th
Uh-huh.
or the 17th.
14th
But
or 17th, within the
yeah,
next week for sure.
yeah, basically. Or
By
we'll
the
see.
time that people are hearing this, it should be out.
Yeah, we'll say it just dropped. It just dropped. We'll say that.
Awesome. Perfect. Perfect.
But yeah, it's two songs. One's called "Heard 'Em Say," and that's kind of like it was actually written right in the heart of the first wave of COVID when everything
Hmm.
was shut down. And the second song's called Attitude, but it's like interesting because we were going to release them, but then like, as it's been through 2020, it's just been, different, climates, political climates,
For
this, are we
sure.
locked out? Are we
Completely.
back inside? You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's weird that the song is kind of relevant again, but it's also like we were like, one of my things I love about music in general is that sometimes you do need a timestamp of what someone was
Hmm.
feeling during that time.
Yeah, for
So I heard
sure.
him say like the second verse is like pretty much a freestyle, and that one's like the most about like when COVID first hit, because I'm
Hmm.
like talking about being in line at Costco's, like spending your time, like put on the mask, like let's buy stamps, but that was
Yeah.
all like just he put on the beat. We're like, what we're gonna do the second verse, and I just went into kind of this like spoken wordy kind of flow,
I
and
love
then
that.
yeah, and then the hook is like super silly. It's just dance y'all, everybody outside, inside, dance y'all, everybody outside, inside. To just like try and put a positive spin on like the whole feeling with it. But yeah, it's with he goes by Felonious Monk, and it was kind of cool because he actually heard me featured on the track that drops last April, and he
Uh-huh.
hit me up and was like, I have some beats. Do you want to hop on these? And yeah, man, we just formed like a super cool friendship, musical relationship. He's super talented. Like he just knows like music from all over like the span of decades, like
Yeah.
sample, produce. And these are the first two. And then in 3 weeks, we'll probably have two more dropping, which we're
Oh,
pretty
that's
stoked
what's
on.
up. So
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
Yeah. Definitely staying busy. And I mean, we'll talk about a little bit more about this, but I want to just obviously say thank you for, because as you said, the political climate and things going on have been so like up and down and changing. We've felt it on the podcast, like, because we had some things recorded that I'm like, I cannot post right now with the political climate, but I've gotten to be out there protesting now with you. I think twice it was.
Yeah, yeah.
Pride and Black Lives Matter, and then one of the first protests in like West Hollywood area.
Yeah, we
Um,
because where we pulled up right next to you.
yeah,
We
that
were
was so
talking about
crazy,
out of like all of LA and all the streets we could park, we're like
right?
rolling around, and then I'm like, it might have been my girlfriend. She's like, "Is that Gerard?" I'm like, "That is Gerard." And they pull
Yeah.
up, I'm like, "Gerard, what's up?" Like,
What's so funny about how the universe works is, well, we were talking about maybe meeting up, but the timing just didn't actually work out in the sense of that we were going to be there at the same time. So we thought. And
yeah, yeah,
then right before that, we actually, as a group, because we had two cars, took a wrong turn. We didn't mean to even go park over in that area. And we were actually, I was more upset at my homie because I was like, I literally said make a right and you made a left.
yeah.
Like, I don't even know what. And then we end up running into you, and it was just like, damn, the universe knows what's up when it knows what's up. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, and
so
I mean that was your first one as well, right? Or
yeah,
first
no
big one?
tokes. That
Yeah,
was the first one, exactly.
Totally. So it was cool that, I mean, like, you know, that we got to like be there together, and
Yeah,
like as soon as I got out of the car, we did like, you know, again, this is, you know, still early COVID, so it was more elbows than
oh
hugs.
yeah, 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 with masks, yeah, totes,
Yeah.
totes.
And then you were like, do you all want some signs? And we were like, yeah, for sure. And it was just, I don't know, it was super cool to like march in with you and like, you
Yeah,
know, just be a part of it and be like a, you know, real ally and like be there. And like,
really,
it was super cool. Like we were,
it
it's like,
was.
yeah. So,
It really was, and I just want to say thank you because it really like for me, it's like it's been so these. Well, I wanted to get your take on what these times have been like for you as an artist, on like being motivated and like how to express yourself during these times as well, and then being stuck inside. Like, I would assume that like it changes some of the inspiration of what you may want to focus on or not to focus on or whatever. What has that been like for you?
well, yeah, I mean, it's, you know, like I think it's for anyone, whether you're an artist or not, it's been all over the place, you
Yeah,
know.
right. Exactly. Completely.
And kind of going, I was saying earlier, we were going to drop these things, but, you know, we were like, wait, this obviously is not the time. That would be disrespectful, you know. So it's like, you know, especially what that was like, I think late May or early June when that kind of all hit, like really,
Yeah.
really big and hard and lasted, you know, I mean, still lasting, but like there was like that month, especially because everyone was out of work and like,
Yeah.
you know, we were going to like at least, if not, I think I did at least one a week. Maybe there's one where I did two and like a mini one or something like that. And just like, you know, fully immersing in that. But as, you know, for me, it's like, you know, to be an ally, it's like this was a time to listen, you know what I mean? To read stories more and like,
Yeah.
you know, like isolate, create, but really isolate, educate, you know?
Yes,
And
yes,
and
yes.
so to use that and now kind of where it's like, you know, it's not that it's like, safe's not the correct word, but I think it's more respectful to share again. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? It's
yeah,
like
no, without a doubt.
using what I've, you know, learned and what I practice as an ally, anti-racist, how to like say it in like the most respectful way lyrically,
Yeah,
especially in hip hop, you know, and like as
yeah,
you know, white MC, you know what I mean? It's like
yeah,
for sure. So it's like, you know, it's touchier subjects, but if it's like real and I feel if your heart's in like the right place, people will hear that and identify with that.
completely, completely.
So yeah.
Can you say why, like, or what have you experienced, like, because you, I mean, we joke about it, but like, because you are a white MC, what has that experience been like for you? Have you felt like support? Have you felt weird? Have you felt whatever?
Um,
Like, have,
anytime, you know, you go to a spot, you're a white MC, it's like, okay, this guy, right?
oh,
But as soon as I
really?
get on the mic and freestyle, people are like, oh, wait a minute. Like,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
you know, and then it's always, but you always have to go over that curve and like respectfully so, you know what I mean?
Completely.
So, and you know, it's like you know, I'm a guest in hip hop like anyone. So it's
Got
like to
you.
be that and, you know, like to be correct, like to be correctly and respectful has kind of like always been a goal. But also it's like my music too, it's not like straight hip hop. It's always
No,
been
yeah.
alternative, you know what I mean?
Gotcha.
There's
Yeah,
always
yeah.
like a mix of just whatever genre.
Have you
Hence,
seen the, sorry, what
oh,
were you
good.
saying?
Oh,
Have
I
you
don't
seen the show Dave on FX?
Dave on F. Oh no, I've heard of it.
Oh
That's
my goodness, you should watch.
yeah.
It's so good. There's like an episode of kind of like about some of this, and I'm so glad that you said in the sense of like, I mean, your talent should speak for itself, and I think your attitude and your heart comes from such a great place. And I actually think the reason why I also asked that is because I do think all culture should be experienced. You know what I mean? We don't. One of the things that I think we are fighting for is so that we aren't so like sticking in our own box of comfortability and that we are exposed to other cultures and try different things or whatever the case may be, and for whoever. But I think as a musician you should definitely, I'm glad that you are using your talents for what you're using them for, and I appreciate that.
Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you. Appreciate
Yeah.
you doing this the podcast. Like I was saying, it's before we hit record, it's been nice to like listen to these on the run, on my runs. Like I try to run at least like 3 miles each morning.
Oh my
Um,
goodness. I'm trying to do 3 miles a week.
like,
Wow, that's so funny. That's like literally my goal. I love it, but I'm like obviously not a runner, so.
well, it took a while, man. I mean, before pre-C times, pre-COVID, you know, I did like a half marathon and been trying to like
Ooh,
keep the running like in my system just because
yeah.
like for me again, especially during all this, you know, it's a way to like, it's a form of meditation. It's a way to like keep your
Jeez.
mind clear, really like have the time to take in And it's cool with you making this platform, you know, like you had Dylan's story, your personal story about the 25th episode of having to drop friendships was very moving. And also you had, I forget her name, but she was the nurse and she was talking about essential working.
Oh, Amy, yeah.
Yeah, and so it was cool, like, you know, I think for you as well, like, you know, you're a comedian, but also creating this platform for people to share what they're experiencing during this time, I think is like, it's pretty powerful. I mean, it's cool.
I really appreciate you saying that. Thank you so much. And yeah, I really appreciate that. And I hope people get from this, because I know sometimes it's like not everyone is specific to a turning cold to diamond moment, but I do want other people, like, we all have an experience and a journey to learn from, and it's not always, you know, smooth sailing. You know, as much as you're sitting on that beach, I'm sure you had to work hard to get there.
In La Playa, man, beautiful.
Yeah.
That's another thing. Duolingo, mucho Duolingo.
Oh my goodness, I need to get back on my Duolingo game. I was on it for a cool minute. But so yeah. But I'm glad you kind of brought up even the podcast and other guests that we have. Do you have a specific turning cold to diamond moment that kind of sticks out for you and what that meant?
Like during COVID or just in general?
However, I mean,
I was trying to think of like a finite moment. I mean, I guess like you could say me freestyling was kind of a cool moment, because like at the time when I was like 12, 13, even before I listened to hip hop, like I had friends picking up guitar and drums and like playing music, punk rock, whatever. And it's like I couldn't do that and I couldn't sing, but I was able to start like talking super fast on a mic to a rhythm and rhyming. And this is like before I like actually ever listened to hip hop, and people were like, yo, you can like freestyle. And I'm like, what's that? And then they like showed me this, and then it's this whole world, you know, that you find, and you're like, oh, this is like underground hip hop of people like making up stuff on the spot, like being in the moment and like having that connection. So like, you know, kind of me not being able to sing like led to this whole other personality trait, to this whole other world and culture, which is like super cool. So I guess that could be one. And also really just moving out west. I mean, like at the time, like when I came out west, originally from outside DC, I was kind of like ending like a darker period in my life, you know, coming out of like relationships, burned a lot of bridges, and it was kind of like, okay, this is like my time, I need to leave. And I thought I was gonna stay East Coast, but it just felt, I just read like, you know, a bunch of Kerouac and like wanted to do a road trip. And from that, it kind of inspired me. It's like, let's go west. And because of leaving like everything behind and starting over, it was like, I truly did come to a place like Cali where I was like, I found like the same mentalities, the same vibes. Yeah. Like when I got out here, people were surprised I was from Virginia, which was kind of like, they're like, what? They're like, you freestyle, you like punk rock, like,
yeah.
Like, so I guess that could have been another one. Like, you know, if you didn't go through like one of the darkest periods in your life, I wouldn't have come out ready to
that's exactly it.
Yeah. So
I mean, we have plenty all in life. It's not like one specific, but I would definitely say that would be a very great example.
Cool. Thank you. That's the answer.
Well, one of the things I like want people to get is that usually that, like we've said on another episode, that it just usually on the other end of the other side of some kind of like a darker period, there is something beautiful. You know what I mean? And totally. I think whatever you had to go through and work through and whatever that brought you to LA and brought you to like-minded people and, you know, like the lifestyle that you live now, I think that would be really, that's kind of a real diamond, I would say.
Totally, because it's like, especially at that time too, it was like, you know, I didn't want to go back to like I finished undergrad and like didn't want to go do more, and it was like all of life was telling you, no, you have to do this, you have to do that. You know, your relationships were telling you that, and you were like, you know, I've just spent the last 4 years like, and I realized I never wanted to be in college. I wanted to like do music, film, whatever, and it was like finally, like ending that and being like, wherever I go is like for me now. And it's like, as soon as you allow yourself, I think, to be like who you are and happy, you can be better for other people. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, I think it was one of your quotes, one of like, the universe works with you, not against you. I kind of want those things.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that when you said that, I was like totally identified. And like, you know, from coming out here and like, you know, rediscovering yourself and like who you truly are, it was like, it also, I don't know, have you ever read The Power of Now?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yes, I have it right here, baby.
Yeah, that, I mean, like, that's like a thing with the same similar, you know, mindset, and just allowing yourself to be open to like what you're supposed to be a part of, essentially. And like, getting on that higher frequency, and then you start meeting other people, and it really does just become this like chain reaction of connecting dots, and it's pretty wild. Like, you just have to allow yourself to be ready for it.
Completely. You get it. You know.
We get it.
Yeah. So one of the things that I want to ask you and kind of get a little bit, I don't want to say serious, but real about, is because there has been such a shift in, I guess, the political climate, the social climate, because of, you know, police brutality and certain injustices that we've been seeing on. And even before we've been in COVID. What is it? I think a cold to diamond moment that I'd love to hear you talk about is what has been your way of creating change, or having a call to action of some sort, or, you know, using your voice.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I guess not having work. It's very cold to diamond, because of that, I was able to go out and meet you and march with you and march with other people, and like, you know, be a part of this movement that is, you know, long overdue and like at the forefront of media. And it's just to, you know, to have the time to be like, oh, I actually get to sit down and read this book, you know, read White Rage, read White Fragility. And then next, it's like how to be an anti-racist, like not only be an ally, but be anti-racist. Like, you have the time now to process that and like see, like, you know, whatever I was doing, you know, wrong, you know, being able to be like, okay, you know, during that time in the past, which, you know, white supremacy mentally has kind of reigned over, now seeing those like flaws and like how it takes over more than just blatant racism, you know, so seeing the systemic now and being able to have the time to petition, email, you know, like call, like how I think I explained that right, but
well, one of the things when as you were answering the question beautifully, I was also like, oh man, I should have really asked what's compelled you to do that research, or to just listen and to educate yourself.
So, you know, as a white person, just see, it's like I've never done anything like, because I'm not like that. It's never been anything blatantly bad, but just like realizing how much systemic, you know, racism has been there, and how it's just been totally like allowed for way too long.
Completely,
you know?
exactly.
And then so now to know how to correctly point out those things, you know, and then be like, you know, some is defund the police. Now they're posting like, oh, now we see where the money has been going. Why did they need all that? And that's what I mean, and being able to like share that information now and have the time to research it, fact check it as best as we can with any information, I guess. But like, you know, like being able to take those extra steps now, I think, I mean, hopefully I feel a lot of people are going through that same thing, and being able to like, it's okay to say like, for a long time, it's been fucked up. You know what I mean? And like, and you know, maybe you're like, oh, I should have been doing this years ago. It's like, well, as long as it's starting, you're starting now, then that's how I feel is the diamond out of like all this. But
awesome. I love you saying that.
Yeah, and it's I don't know, because it's stuff where you're just like, I don't know, your head explodes and you're like, how is it, like, why? And like, I just, like, I don't know, it gets you, it definitely, you should get emotional, because it's like, why would you never want someone to have an equal chance? Like, it's like, it should be that simple as a question, but it's for some reason not. It's so stupid.
Right.
It's like, yeah, it's crazy. And then like, I don't know, so again, it's like, how do you tell people who don't get that? Like, how do we convince them, like, what's wrong? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah. Oh, I know what you mean.
yeah, I know, for sure, for sure, for sure. But yeah, but yeah.
Oh, that's funny. But also I thought, or I love, because you sent me, I don't, you're not really dropping this with it, but you have made a song as well, Call to Action, which are
Yeah, call to
really
action.
cool.
Yeah, so yeah, I didn't know if we were like how when we are gonna preview stuff, but this one will probably be out. I guess maybe latest September. But yeah, this was an old friend who I haven't seen in forever. He's actually from DC. He was doing the protest there as well, and saw I was doing the protest out here. And he was like, "Hey, would you want to collab on this idea I have?" And you know, with just creating in COVID, this is the first time ever like I've set up a recording station in my place, and like I've had to learn how to record myself, like which has
Yeah,
been, you know, part of the whole, I guess, 2020 experience. But
yeah,
so it was cool to be able to just be like, yeah, totally, like this is what I'm feeling, this is what I've noticed, and then be able to send him back 2 verses, and he was just like, wow, this is exactly like what I needed. And yeah, I mean, hopefully, you know, when people hear it, it's like, you know, it is, they get that this is a call to action. It's time to
yeah,
stop being silent, you know, like be resilient, you know, all that.
yeah.
That's all the key terms we've been hearing. Let's keep saying them, you know, so it sticks with people.
Real talk.
Yeah.
Real talk. And so one of the things that I want to kind of go back to as well is kind of you kind of just talked a little bit about how like you've now had to do a recording like set up in your house and that kind of stuff, recording yourself. What has that been like for you, like like learning, I guess, new skills during COVID and readjusting to this time? Because I feel like we've all had to in some sort of fashion, you know?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's different in the sense because, like we were talking about earlier, like you know, as an MC, I love collabing, and there's usually a producer there. So
Yeah.
now it's been a whole new discovery of like people send beats or like a beat pack, and then it's like, okay, well, let me put on the headphones now, like go to the keyboard, and you know, I've been learning like minor mixing, but it's like for me, the way I look at it is, it's like you know, if they like it, they'll take the next step and like
Yeah.
really make the vocals. You know, it's really just to get a vibe of the song, which, you know, sometimes like, especially part of like the way my sound is, sometimes a little rawer is always better kind of with what's going on.
Yeah.
And a lot of things I try to do with my verses is they're all like the one take, you know? So it's like, if you can rap a verse, you should be able to rap the whole verse, you know? I
Yeah.
really like live to that. You shouldn't have to punch in every line, you know, unless it's like you're going for an effect for sure. But for the most part, you should be able to rap what you write. That's
I
it should
get
be that
that.
simple. So it's been interesting because normally I would have that filter right away to be like, this is you like we both would be like, we'll know what the best one is.
Yeah.
But then when it's just me to my own thoughts, I'm like, wait, do I know which is the best take or what's the best freestyle?
Yeah.
So that's been interesting to kind of learn. And then also like the thing is like now I've been like I've gone through during COVID a lot of different phases of like writing poetry, like waking up, writing the first thing that comes to my mind.
Mm.
And so I've been implementing that now with some of the beats where like I'll just go through like, you know, like a lyric book. Like I've filled up like 3 of these, you know?
You got to do it more straight to camera because
There you go.
it blends into, there you go. Yeah.
There we go. So I filled up like almost like 3 of these, and so for
Whoa.
some of the beats, I'll just pull it and just flip through pages and just wrap different stanzas,
Yeah.
and then I'll be like, oh, this one like does randomly fit this one. So which I haven't written like that like I don't even know how long ago because I've been so freestyle based for the last like 4 or 5 years. So
Yeah.
so to write like that again has been kind of cool. But then it's like I'm like, why did I leave that for so long? Because some of the stuff you write like you know, actually think about writing is really good, you know, and it's maybe more thought out or something. It's not just punchlines or imagery. There's like, you know, you looked up some facts or you looked up like this and that. So,
Yeah.
so marrying that's been cool. And then the other thing though is like the waiting after, because normally you'd be writing with someone and you're like, okay, but then you send them these demos and you're like, okay, I know everyone's at home, so someone will get back to you right away, some doesn't, and then you're like, oh, yeah, you're like, they must have not liked it, but then a week later, you'll get like, whoa, this is so dope, and I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
but you're like, I never used to have to wait. It's always
Yeah.
instant, like, it's either good or bad.
Yeah. I get that. That's funny. I've actually had a few of those moments, like kind of on both ends where like I haven't responded to somebody, but it's because like I'm either editing or whatever, da da da. But I'm like, I'm busy, you know, like even though nobody's doing anything. And then I've done like I've texted somebody and they haven't responded or sent somebody I'm like, we're in a pandemic. What do you not do? Like you can
Right.
respond to me.
Totally.
What are you doing?
Yeah. Well, how many more emails do you have? Like, what?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I feel that for sure.
Oh my God. I do love that.
But yeah, I mean, but again, you know, with anything like, and again, incorporating drums and like, not that I've like used any of that musically yet, but the plan and the intent is to eventually. It's just, I don't know. I mean, anything new, right, always helps your craft in some sort of way. So, um, and also learning Spanish, I've started to like write in a few lines, but
Uh-huh.
until like, I feel like a year from now, I might be able to have like a full like in Spanish like verse. That's like,
Ooh, I love that.
but just to get like, you know, but right now it's like sneaking in a line here or there. If it like really is on the flow, then I'm like, okay, that's cool, you know. But it's like, I don't, if I do that again, I want, you know, like, it's such a cool language. I want to be really respectful of it and
For
like, you know,
sure.
do that type of thing.
Are
So
you like conversational yet, or are you still kind of just learning like?
I can text and read it way better. There's like two
Oh,
or three
cool.
people I've been texting with because, you know, when you're on Duolingo, it's more you see it
Yeah,
versus
yeah,
I
yeah.
don't really have anyone to like talk it with, to speak
Mm-hmm.
with yet.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it's like me walking around like just saying things to myself.
I
But
love it.
yeah, yeah.
Me gusta practico, but yeah, what is it?
Pero
Cono- Conozco mucho palabras de restaurante.
oh yeah.
No as like no. I'm trying to think of how to say I'm not good or
No es
yo es
bueno, muy
yo es
pequeño.
no yeah, yo es no bueno
Yo hablo un poco muy pequeño.
ni
Speak
muy
a
pequeño.
little.
Así I usually say.
um,
Así.
But it's like funny too, and you're like whenever I'm like out at a walk, I'm just yeah, I'm just like me gusta caminar. I like to walk. Like I just
Yeah,
like
yeah.
try to say whatever I'm doing, just so I can like say the words more.
For
You
sure.
know, so you do retain it. But even like drums, you're like yo quiero tocar tambores. I like to play drums.
Oh, yes,
uh,
Camboya.
yeah, y escribo más lyrics. Yeah, like to write a lot of lyrics. You know, just
I would
stuff
have
like
just said palabra. I say very base. Like I can get away with a conversation because I say usually like it sounds like I'm talking like I'm a 7-year-old probably, and in the language. I like to write a lot of words.
that.
Words de música. That's what I would say. Palabras de música, and hopefully they.
Totally.
Words of music? What?
But I mean, it's like as long as you're trying, and that's the thing.
Yeah.
It's like trying to learn. And again, you know, I feel that goes again with kind of just, you know, the climate of let's, you know, go out of your way to learn more about other cultures.
Wow.
Like, again, you know, that's one thing that's been messed up with American ideology for so long is like, why are we taught to feel that we should only know one language? You know, like,
Yeah.
it's like we should know multiple languages.
Yeah.
And it's like, and now with Duolingo, you do that 15 minutes a day. You're like, wow, I'm like remembering way more than I thought I would, which is like
Completely.
cool.
The amount of times you brought up Duolingo, I should request a sponsorship. Every time I hear people talking about it, I'm like, ooh, should I? Because I actually use it too. Like, I should. I'm willing to use it more, Duolingo.
But like, I'll do my intros and outros.
Oh my goodness, yes.
You do a different language intro and outro every day.
That would be so cool.
Yeah, that'd be really
So
cool.
cool. I don't know if I could, like, what is it? Salud. Introducing.
You know,
I don't know how to
yeah,
say
what'd you say,
welcome.
I don't know introduce yet.
Like, yeah, that's the thing. I'm like, how do I, like, to start? I don't know. Either way, was all gonna be it now.
You'd be like, aquí entra, here enters.
Oh yes, yes. Like in class, turning coal into diamond. Con Gerard Cole. Oh my goodness.
I love
Listen,
it.
because it's gonna be so upset. And also, before I let you go, I wanted to. I have two quick questions. Is there anything that I haven't asked you that you want to share with the people? Anything on your mind?
I mean, just anyone, we're all going through this year together. I mean, take time to, like we were talking about, be active, listen, listen more, learn more, also hold yourself accountable. But also, all that being said, that you have to give yourself time to be with yourself, go
Mm.
hike more, whatever that is, have a little psychedelics, whatever that is. Just,
Yeah.
you got to be in tune with yourself if you want to be able to hear everyone else properly. And, that's kind of what Good.To.Go message and Good.To.Go vibes has always been about lyrically. And, we're at a time where it's like, be there for the other person. And that's,
Mm.
I don't know, should be that simple.
The most
But
real. The most real. I love that. And so the last question that I do have for you, I did email this to you, but we've all heard the quote, uh, be the change. Well, I'm going to ask that a little differently. We've been asking everybody the same quote. And the reason why I'm asking this is because, not every episode is specific about what's going on in our world and our just the injustices that are going on. But I do think that there is our due diligence, and when we are being our best selves, when we are thinking about others, we are. That's just, I think, a really basic level way of thinking we could all do. But there's a quote that says, "Be the change that you wish to see." What's the change that you wish to see, and how are you going to be that?
yeah, I mean, it's, there's so many ways you could answer this. And like most of them are probably cheesy, but, cheesy comes from love, I suppose. So it's
I love
like,
cheesy.
yes, exactly. So it's like, it was simple as like, more love. But, with that said, it's like, just do more, like more listening, be more accountable, just more learning, more communication. And I think with all that, it's like, you will be able to give more love for yourself and for other people. So I guess just more, just, get a little more, do a little more. And, every little bit adds up and goes a long way. So just, yeah, keep adding to that nth degree.
Love it. Love it. Dope. But let them know where they can find you, and any socials, any websites, whatever.
Yeah, my IG is Good.To.Go, good.to.go, G-O-O-D.to.go. Also, main
Go.
website is goodtogovibes.com. That'll have a link to like Spotify, Instagram. That's where I'm most active. That's why I say it. But yeah, always hit the Spotify. Let's get that algorithm
Yes.
up.
Yes. There we go.
And there's going to be more streaming concerts coming soon with like visuals. So again, that'll all be on the website. And yeah, thank you all for listening. Thank you, Gerard, for having me.
Of course. Of course. Thank you, my dude. And of course, you guys know where to find the podcast. We're on anywhere you can listen to your podcast, Turning Coal into Diamond, on Twitter and Instagram with TCID Podcast. And then if you want to look me up, I am Gerard Cole on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok for however long it's out there. But for now, you guys always make sure you keep turning coal into diamonds and enjoy